One of the things that I like the most with desk setups is that they constantly evolve. It feels like a never-ending project, basically, and it always follows your workflow depending on what it is that you're doing. And over the years, I've been having multiple different desk setups with different kind of lights, different kind of cameras, different kind of computers. But for the last 2 years, I have been at this very desk every single day, and it feels like I finally kind of figured out what it is that actually matters the most on my desk. So I remember my very first desk setup that I had in my first office space way back in 2019. It was one of the cheapest desks that you could ever buy, but it was also great. You know, I just went to IKEA, I bought a countertop and I placed it on two, I don't know what you call those, but basically two of those, bam, desk, done. That was it. And I think that that is where it all kind of kicked off when it comes to me and desk setups, because ever since that time and forward, I've had some sort of satisfaction whenever I finalize a desk setup. And if you've been around here on the channel ever since then, you've gone through all the different desks that I had, rather desk setups, because they've been a little bit different over here and over there and over this and over that, and which kind of tech that I use and so on and so forth. And I've always kind of had the thought that a desk shouldn't just be functional. It should be a place where you actually want to go and sit, you want to go and work, and you should be able to do all the things that you want to do at your desk. And when you're looking at your desk, you should feel inspired to work and create and make more. And that is what I feel that I've achieved with this desk for the last 2 years. So let's start with the actual foundation. And that is the countertop that I got right here, which is 180 times 80 centimeters. And you probably heard me say this before, but having a lot of space when you're working is crucial for me, especially when you're doing unboxing videos, whenever you want to have a little bit of depth into your shots, or whenever you're doing these talking heads so that you can lean in and you can lean back and you can sit like this. There's so many different possibilities when you have a big desk rather than when you have a small desk. So if you have this space, I can highly recommend it. It's also possible to raise the desk, but I can't say that I'm a huge fan of it. I mean, like, I have the opportunity, and it's great whenever you're doing some sort of unboxing video to get a little bit closer to the top-down shot. But most of the time, I'm gonna be honest to say that I'm sitting down whenever I'm at the desk. And it was around July last year where I decided to change out the countertop, because previously I had a black countertop. I kind of wanted to have something that was a little bit contrasty towards all the black that I got here in the studio. And then I went for the walnut top. And I think that this suits so incredibly well. But it's actually not real walnut. It's just a laminate walnut top, so it's very easy to clean. And if you were to drop your knife in something like that, you don't have to worry, because it's not gonna be that expensive to replace that. When it comes to the actual computer that I use, I have a Mac Mini M4 Max. Now, when I bought this computer, I kind of thought that I would need to have something that was stronger, and I was looking into the Mac Studio, but I thought that the price was so steep in order to be able to do the things that I want to do. And I've been using this for more than 1.5 years at this point. No issues. I'm running Fusion, Lightroom, Final Cut Pro, Adobe Illustrator, ChatGPT, Notes, email clients, Chrome, all at the same time, and there's absolutely no issues. So at this point, I don't feel like I need to upgrade, so I'm probably going to wait another year before I decide to upgrade to another computer. Even though it would be very nice to have a little bit more RAM, the monitor that I'm using is Apple Pro XDR display. Now, when I purchased this, it was more so a gift to myself because my company had been doing really well. I had managed to build a garage, I had managed to move to a house together with my family, and ever since I purchased this, I have absolutely no intention of upgrading anytime soon. I know some people are gonna say like, oh, hey, it's only 60 Hertz. But when you're working with video and when you're working with photos and when your main thing is to edit video and photos and do some graphics in Adobe Illustrator and do some 3D design, you don't really need more than 60 Hertz. It's not gonna be noticeable in the sense that you're gonna be like, wow, I needed something more. However, it's always nice, but I've never actually felt that I need more than what this does. Over the last 2 years, I'm super satisfied with the performance of this monitor. Another thing worth mentioning with the Mac Mini is that it also has a 10 gigabit Ethernet port. So I'm able to actually edit from my NAS without any issues. I can just drag and drop straight into the timeline because of the 10 gigabit Ethernet speed that I got in my Ubiquiti hardware, but also in the Mac Mini. So if you're looking into, upgrading your entire network, I have a couple of videos of that. I'm gonna drop a link in the description down below so you can head over there and check them out, because that's an entirely different rabbit hole. Trust me on that. But by having 10 gigabit, it also enables me to do so much more with my NAS units, because now I don't have to take the storage on my computer into consideration because I can just store everything there. And it's so incredibly nice to be able to archive all your footage onto your NAS units. And then whenever you need something that you've already shot, or when you're talking about, your old desk from 2021 and you want to have a couple of shots from it, you can just drag it into the timeline and boom, it's gonna show up in the video without you having to save it over to a separate disk and so on and so forth. So the amount of time that I save by just having this connection is immense, especially when you're working a lot with making videos where you actually talk about stuff that you've already done. And when it comes to portable storage, I'm using the SanDisk ProBlade Transport together with SanDisk ProBlade Station. And I have to say, I've been going through multiple different brands of SSDs, T7s, G Drive, whatever it might be. This has been the best performing SSDs that I've used over the last 3.5 years. But the nice thing with the ProBlade setup is that you can just take one of the sticks, bring with you in one of these transports, and then travel, record your videos, whatever it might be, transfer the files onto the stick. And when you get home, you just take the stick, plug it into the actual ProBlade units that you got at home, and then instantly through Thunderbolt, you're gonna be able to access those files. And it basically works the same as an SSD. It's just a more streamlined workflow, I guess you can say. And I think we've talked about this before, but being able to remove all those bottlenecks that actually takes up time is the most important thing when it comes to having a streamlined workflow. As for the main camera, the one that you're seeing right now, I've landed in the Sony FX3, mainly because it has a fan built in, so you can record for however long that you want to record without any sort of issues. But it also provides you with great freaking image quality. So it makes it this workhorse that is supposed to be right here. And then when it comes to my top-down camera, I usually use my Sony A9 III, which I think is a great camera as well. I use that as my B camera and my photo camera whenever I'm out vlogging, and whenever I vlog, I use my Sony ZV-E1. But this camera is always here in the studio because it's the best freaking studio camera that I own, and it's one of the best cameras that I've tried. Sure, the new Sony FX5 is released, but it doesn't actually provide me with anything that I feel that I need as of right now with the content that I'm making. But just being able to sit down like this, hit record, and then start talking to the camera makes everything so much smoother, especially since we have lights up here as well. And when it comes to the actual lights, I am using one Nanlite Pavoslim 120C, mainly because this is a smaller light. It's easier to control, and you can set multiple different colors onto it because it has RGB, HSI, and so on and so forth. And then I have my other talking head set up where I have the Nanlite Forza 300 as my main key light whenever I'm recording in that angle, if you may. But the reason that this entire desk setup is so incredibly powerful and so incredibly sleek is because I have a power outlet in the ceiling. So when I was designing this, I wanted to have everything going up in the ceiling and no cables on the floor. Because when you're running around here, when you're doing a lot of work, you don't want to stumble on something. You don't want to have a tripod standing with a light. You just want to make sure that you can walk in 360 degrees around your desk, see everything, access everything, makes it so much more simpler whenever you're working. And that for me has been golden. It also makes it so much easier to actually clean the room and maintain the cleanliness of the actual room. And then of course we have the keyboard, which is the MX keys. We have the mouse, which is the MX Master 3S. I have the space mouse from 3D Connection, freaking fantastic if you're doing CAD design. The Thunderbolt dock that I'm using is from Corsair and it's called TBT200. Can highly recommend. It's a little bit expensive, but oh, so incredibly good. I also have a Scarlett Solo sound card from Focusrite to be able to plug in my guitar and pick up the pace a little bit, because I haven't played in God knows how long, but I kind of want to get back to that during the fall and winter. And then I also designed and 3D printed my own EDC tray that I call the ULZ01. It's just a neat way to place your phone, maybe a pen or your wallet or maybe a knife in one single place. So a couple of things that I actually removed from my desk setup over the years is big speakers, those big monitors. Now there's going to be some of you that is probably going to be like, wait, what? What did you do? But I feel like if I just put on a pair of headphones for the videos that I do, it's gonna be more than enough to hear all the details. And whenever I'm working with sound effects, I just think it's fun. I don't want it to be perfect as long as it sounds and looks good. That is kind of the premise that I'm working from. But I also removed a desk shelf because as good as they look, they always tend to gather stuff. So what I did instead is that I printed a couple of brackets so that I can put stuff under my desk so that things always have their place. So if I want to put my space mouse under the desk or my iPad case or my keyboard, then they have a place under the desk, which I think is very nice. But looking back at the previous desk setups, it's kind of cool to see how each iteration kind of led up to this point and how each iteration also became simpler and less stuff on the actual desk. And as I said in the beginning of this video, I don't really think that there's such a thing as a finished desk setup, because I think that this is one of those things that evolves together with you, just the same as my studio evolves together with me over the years that I'm spending time in here. Now it's been several years of me adding things, removing things, and trying to perfect the desk setup in the best way that I possibly can. And I think that this is the closest I've been to perfecting my desk setup. I would love to know, what do you think is the most important thing at your desk setup? Is it the light? Is it the camera? Is it the monitor? Is it the actual chair that you're using? Do drop a comment down below, because I would love to hear and have a discussion with you. And if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe as well, because I would love to see you in the next video. Peter from Sweden will say thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, have a good one.